So hi everyone, my name is Nakanya Nonthiworawong, and as you know, office building is a place where humans spend 1/3 of their day within it. So, and as it's being heated up like a lot by the climate change, so assessing indoor temperature is important in terms of balancing the well-being and energy efficiency in the future. Therefore, my dissertation is about forecasting the UCL Central House office indoor temperature using LSTM algorithm with the real BMS data under future climate conditions. So in London, 25% of building is older than 70 years old. That's the first initial point. And we all know that Europe and UK prioritizes like preservation and retrofit over demolition. And in order to do that, like the thermal performance of the building need to be assessed. But with the problem of the building like being too old, the architectural document, like the thermal, the fabric document, the material and stuff is really hard to find. Therefore, the next method that we can do in step 3 is the data-driven method. Like some of the office building are installed with the sensor and the BMS system. We get the data, like the record of the data from the BMS, but the problem is that we still haven't tried that much about how we can utilize these data. So this dissertation is dealing with that. Yeah, so my research question is that how can we assess the thermal performance without solely relying on the physical-based model? And my aim is to develop a data-driven workflow supporting long-term occupant comfort, energy efficiency, and retrofit decision-making. For like the literature review, which we should know before keep continuing, is that the machine learning algorithm that I'm going to use here is the LSTM because it can capture the real building complexity from the sensor data. Like it can work well with the sensor, and then it can also capture the temporal dependency, which means it can do the cycle between day and night and the season between each quarter of the year. For the BMS, it's the building management system that we install the sensor in the building, and then we can either real-time monitoring the building and record the data of day by day. And for the indoor temperature, like in short, the comfort level is between 20 to 26 for the office workplace. And lastly, the climate change. It's predicted in the future, London will increase cooling demand like by 55%. Yeah, so the case study that I choose in short, it's the UCL Central House because it's older than 70 years. It doesn't, we cannot really find any architectural document available with it, but it already has the BMS system installed. And also I found a significant difference between the design stage. Like it has been retrofitted in 2010, and the result of the physical model shows that this building is gonna be under 25 degrees Celsius, even though it's under the free running mode. It was the prediction from the physical model. But the BMS show a difference. It shows that the temperature frequently rise above 27 and sometimes reach 30 during the free running mode. Yeah, so I think it's really important to assess the performance of this building to prevent overheating risk in the future. Yeah, this is what I told you that I found the difference between the performance. And this is my methodology. I got the input from the sensor data, and then I did the coefficient correlation to like see which variable is the most important, the most related, and then these are the ones that I chose. When we input the variable into the LSTM model, there is two ways. You either use one input or you either use like many inputs. And the method that I use is the multivariable because in a real building, the indoor temperature is affected by many conditions, like the weather outside, the occupant schedule, the HVAC operational, Yeah, so we can divide it into three parts. The continuous variable, expressing the impact of the outdoor weather, like we can input like either like historical weather, future weather, or present weather within the model. And secondly, the discrete variable, expressing the impact of the user behavior, HVAC operation, and temporal dependency, which is the month and the hour. And lastly is the lag feature, which is like the 24-hour historical data of the indoor temperature. So this is how I trained the model. And then I did the accuracy test, and then I input the future temperature of the outdoor temperature of London. And then for the last, I am able to assess the cooling demand, the behavior of the occupant in the future, and the overheating risk assessment. And this model is also be able to predict the flexible mode. Like you can either predict whether you want the result of the cooling system, the heating system, or the free running mode. This is like how I did the model. And this is the result. So we start with the outdoor temperature first. What I found from the Prometheus file of the 2030 is that the temperature outdoor is gonna shift toward like more around like 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, which is much more than the previous 3 years. And this is the historical office space temperature. It shows that even though the temperature fluctuates a lot during each quarter of the year, normally the indoor temperature will stay like quite the same because it's controlled by the heating system and the cooling system. But by this way, we cannot really know the real performance of the building, because we can get to know the real performance when it's under free running mode. And this is the relationship between the outdoor temperature and the user behavior. So I found that the user will try to turn on the AC most during July and August. And for now, in this building of UCL, they try to raise the set point like up from 26 to 27, but we have reached the limitation of the set point already. It cannot be higher than that. Otherwise, it's like dangerous to the people. So this is the point where cooling demand is going to increase a lot in the future. This is the result of the heat wave for the future. Like I try to see how it's going to affect the cooling demand in 2030. And I found that in 2030, there is going to be 40 days that the temperature rise above 28 with 8 heat waves. That's going to affect a lot. Yeah, so I'll come back to the model. This is like the proof that the model work well, better than the benchmark, which is a linear regression, and work better than the traditional model of random forest. Yeah, so this is the result of the prediction. This is like the training part first to see how accurate the model is. And this is when I try to play with the mode. As I say, I can input many variable inside. Yeah, so okay, the model can either predict like this is how the model predict if I just keep it to be the free running, and that one it can predict if I add the cooling mode into it. Yeah, so this is the result. We can see that in the future the indoor temperature can rise above like 27 a lot during July and August. So if we set the set point at 26, there is going to be high chance that we are going to turn on the AC like 75 times within 3 months. If the set point is 27, that's going to be 67 times. If the set point like push it to the maximum, it's going to be 35 times, which is 1/3 of the summer times already. Yeah, so for the discussion, in short, LSTM can work really well with the real sensor data, and we don't have to rely only on the physical reading. If we cannot find the physical if we cannot find the physical document of the building, we can still predict the performance of that building. But anyway, in the future, we should install more sensor in the building because it's gonna give like much more accurate prediction in the future. Yeah. Thank you so much.